Good morning. Good to see everyone here. You know, we're getting a little more comfortable being together, and that's a good thing. So it's good to see faces. It just makes such a difference when we're in the same room and we're able to see each other, and maybe we can't see everybody's lips because we have masks, but you know, we're getting there. We're getting there, and thanks for everybody's patience in that. So as usual, we got tons of things to cover, and that makes it for a good and informing fireside chat. I want to just say a couple of words on strategic planning. So first, thank you for those of you who participated in that process to kind of understand where we're going, and know that if there are questions and issues, you can always come to me. You can talk with Eli on parts of the specific, but please feel free to come to me and I can help clarify things. The big why is the long-term success of Rise House. We want to sustain ourselves financially, and we want to sustain ourselves culturally, and we believe that doing a new building is the key towards that. Having said that, there is a long way between now and actually doing that. So we've shared with you our plan and our intent, but there's a long way between that and a building coming out of the ground. So we have time. Now, I fully understand and expect that people are nervous about their own situation with respect to living in the West Wing or west facing in the Central Tower, and that's important, and I get that. We're not going to solve that immediately. We are noodling on a construct for the West Wing folks and the Central Tower west facing folks to figure out how will we address the various concerns. So we will create this construct, and then we will meet with every individual in the West Tower and in the central facing West Wing and the central facing West Tower to understand each person's personal situation, because it's very different. And then we'll see how those fit into the construct so that we've got an organized process that will be fair and will be workable for each individual family. That's not going to happen for a while, not because we can't get to it, it's just a little bit early. We're thinking through the details on it. We'll be meeting with folks and come up with the individual solutions within our construct that will hopefully work for everybody. So I've gotten lots of issues, people have, got their bags packed and they're right on the front porch waiting for the cab to come and take them to some new place. It's early. Don't have to go there yet. But rest assured, we think about this. We are also not winding down the West Wing right now. So yes, we are still selling apartments in the West Wing, but we're going to have full disclosure. We want people to know and understand if you select an apartment in the West Wing, you will be moving. And if that's not okay, then we need to move people to somewhere else. We will reach a point where we will say the certainty of our project is such that it is now time to not continue to sell into the West Wing. And that is likely to be towards the latter part of this year, don't know the exact date. So yeah, we are continuing to market to that. We're just being full disclosure about that. And there are many solutions for folks. There are just, there's all sorts of different things that we can do to help, mitigate the inconvenience and the whatever of what we're planning here. So stay tuned. Try not to get too worried if you're in that group that's most affected, because we're going to get with you and talk it through with you and make sure you're comfortable. The other thing I want to mention is that I've heard from some committees going, oh, gosh, you're designing a building, and what about the gardens, and why did you get the committee involved, and where's my planter? We really do want to make sure that the garden committee will get plugged in, as will other committees, in the design of the building. Right now, they're working on the structural integrity of the building. They're worried about the thing standing up, okay? Which is job one. We want to make sure that we have a building that can be on that plot and will actually work. So they have a lot of engineering work to do. Then we're going to be saying, all right, it's now time to loop in other committees who have a stake in the design and or how the spaces work. So we'll want to involve, the event support committee. We'll want to involve the art committee. We want to involve the garden committee and other either constituents or committees that have a stake in what that design is going to look like and how their stuff will be accommodated for. So there's plenty of time for that also. I don't want you to think that we're going to roll past that, because it's important that those of you that are responsible for certain committees know that we're taking this into account. But right now we're in the engineering process just to make sure this thing, you know, is something that's going to work. So if you have further questions on that, feel free to touch base with Eli or with myself. We will be having more conversations as we move along, and we'll share with you what we know when we know it. Let's see. Okay, I think that is all I have for right now, and I'm going to pass it off to Lori, and she has a few things to share with you as well.
Good morning. I want to first model the way. We've been messaging to the community of staff and residents that we are all empowered to remind each other of those important protocols to keep ourselves safe. Mike, mask, stay on. Even when we are speaking, we haven't changed the protocol yet. We hope soon to be able to remove masks for those who may be at the front speaking. Want to make sure you can all hear me okay, since I am keeping my mask on. All right, well, welcome. It's good to see all of you again. I am delighted to be able to introduce a couple of our new team members in person. Hopefully you all had the opportunity to see the bios that I sent earlier this month on a couple of new team members. I'm going to first just briefly highlight the key credentials of Brittany Hallett, our new Director of Assisted Living. Brittany has both her bachelor's and master's in Science and Nursing. She also comes with a certified infection preventionist background, and that is so critical at a time like now. So she is all about infection control and really tracking infections very closely for our protection. She is collaborative, a delight, jumping right in. She started back on January 10th as we were underway, unfortunately, with our current outbreak. So the timing could not have been better. As you can imagine, our full orientation is a little delayed because of managing on the ground with the outbreak. So it is a great pleasure for me to bring Brittany up so she can share a few words and you have a chance to see her in person. So Brittany, come on up.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and I just want to say thank you for the wonderful warm welcome that I have received from both staff and residents here. It's just so pleasant to have a hello and a nod as I'm walking down the hallways. I wish that my first experience wasn't me needing to draw on my infection control background, but I'm glad that I can bring my experience and expertise and hopefully keep everyone safe. So thank you so much.
And it is also my great pleasure to introduce again Ildiko Pakali. I also sent her bio out earlier this month, and she joined us on January 11th. I like to say that Ildiko just took a very long sabbatical. You may remember, for some of you who were here for the last few years, Ildiko had been here originally as a life enrichment associate, departed in 2017 to embark on a career growth opportunity, and she has rejoined us here as the Director of Life Enrichment. Ildiko received both her undergrad and graduate degrees in her homeland of Hungary. She is a trained social worker. She's also a certified activities director, so she brings a lot of great resource, connection, and is doing some wonderful work in really getting her feet wet with inventorying and understanding what are the programs that are available and how can we build upon the great infrastructure that's in place. So Ildiko, without further ado, please come on up.
Good morning. My long sabbatical was about learning and growing, and I'm happy to bring all of this experience back to Horizon House. I'm super happy to be back, and I appreciate for all the help what I received from staff and residents to learn my way here. So thank you.
Thank you, Adhika. All right, I'm going to move into some brief COVID updates. Been a little while. I hate to have to even do more updates. I thought it might be interesting for you to hear just a case count as we wrapped up 2021, that I just give you a brief overview of what the case count was for 2021. As we're dealing with the outbreak now, 2021 looked really swell. So for assisted living for the whole year of 2021, we had 2 staff members with COVID and 2 residents with COVID. On the independent side, we had 5 staff members and 7 residents, five staff members and 7 residents in 2021. Not too bad considering. Now for 2022, where we are at year to date. So these are confirmed positive cases that we've been made aware of since January 1 and forward. So some of these cases I just cited from 2021 were in December, as we started, unfortunately, our outbreak with the Omicron variant. So for 2021, or 22, for 2021, we had a total of 16. For 2022, so far on the assisted living side, we have 14 staff who have tested positive, 4 residents. On the independent living side, we have had a total of 16 staff test positive and 10 residents. Pretty staggering, we're already at 44, and we're just coming to the end of January. So as you can imagine, we are hearing in the news daily, both locally and nationally, and frankly, globally. We are seeing numbers we have not seen before, and unfortunately, Horizon House is not alone in that. There are surges happening across the county and the state in long-term care facilities. And so this has been a very, very busy time for all of us. The good news is, as I'll mention in testing in a moment, we have finally been able to get access to some test kits, and that has been extremely helpful for us. Before going there, the protocols, just want to really quickly highlight again for assisted living. We continue to operate under the state's Safe Start plan that I have referenced throughout the pandemic. And so that continues to govern what our activities and protocols can be, especially during an active outbreak status. As you well know, we are closed to visitors for indoor visitation and assisted living right now because of the outbreak. We are supporting outdoor visitation. Unfortunately, the time of year is not the most ideal. We do bundle residents up really well. We put warming blankets on them, and our life enrichment team does a fantastic job of escorting our residents so that for those family members and residents who want to connect, there is that opportunity to do so. We are also continuing to offer virtual visits with FaceTime. So those systems are in place. The state has provisions as we have continued to exercise to support indoor visitation with compassion care visitors. That is around end of life, as well as essential support persons. And we do have both of those types of visitors coming in. In terms of when we will be able to reopen for indoor assisted living visitation, the goal there is to achieve 14 days with no new case onset. That will be our trigger. So when you see in those weekly communications about it's been extended until further notice, that is based on continuing to see new onsets of cases. So once we get through that critical period of 14 days with no new cases, that would be our trigger to reopen for indoor visitation. On the independent living side, a little less prescriptive, if you will, by the state. So that is where the virus task force and the health advisory group members continue to work closely together. And that's what we have to wrestle over. is what are those best protocols based on what is occurring right here in Horizon House, what is occurring in the county where a lot of those visitors come in from. And so we've had over the last few weeks some pretty spirited discussions, robust discussions with varying degrees of opinions amongst that group in terms of how far do we roll back? Do we shut everything down? Do we keep things going? Do we wait until we realize more cases? Some of you have been very forthcoming in your opinions. I know some of you have expressed a strong desire that we shut everything down. And so we've been really trying to maintain some balance. And then there's been some good questions raised about how do we really know if there has been or has not been intra-community transmission. We work with the data that is provided to us from all of you. And so as we continue our work with contact tracing and understand the patterns of your activities of the previous 2 weeks, and from there identify any potential close contacts and work with those close contacts to get tested 5 days after potential exposure and follow up to understand what were those test results. Based on all that information and based on knowledge that a majority of our cases have had direct links clearly from outside sources of exposure from family or friends, we have not seen any concrete evidence of intra-community transmission. We did, however, as you well know, decide to scale back some restrictions in the terrace dining room, bistro, and catering. And that is simply because a lot of the visitors coming into the dining room are from the county where the transmission rate is very, very high. Masks are down during food and beverage opportunities, close proximity. We felt like that was somewhere to have some balance to minimize that risk. And we will consider reopening the terrace dining room and bistro to visitors once we see the transmission rates come down, once we go 14 days and more without new resident onset cases on independent living. So those are some of the factors we continue to wrestle with and closely monitor. So please, please, if you have been confirmed positive, let me know. If you have had an exposure, especially you've heard from within the community of an exposure, let me know, because we want to avoid at all costs inter-community transmission so we don't have to go into full shutdown. That's the goal here. We did decide to support, as you know, having one household or 2 single individuals from separate households at a table in the dining room. So you may ask, well, that seems a little conflict with some of the other protocols. We did that because we are also trying to balance emotional well-being. We know how incredibly difficult isolation is. And so until we see any, hopefully not, but if we don't realize any intra-community transmission, we want to support that. And that is where you make individual decisions through your risk filter as to whether you feel you have the tolerance to be with close proximity of someone at a table without mask on. So that is where some individual judgment comes into play through that risk filter. I wanted to just take the opportunity to give you some perspective of how we're managing some of these tough choices and trying to be mindful of everyone's well-being. So I want to give another huge shout out to the Health Advisory Group again. Finley Wallace joined us and he replaced George Counts, who is embarking on some new opportunities. We miss you, George. I will say we miss you. Finley's been a fantastic addition. We have, of course, Jeff Graham, who is still very much a part of that. Jim Gale has joined that group, and Abe Bergman. So some great voices at the table to help wrestle through some of these not always easy choices that I know not everyone always agrees with or likes. So we do the best we can to keep everyone safe. And finally, testing, as I mentioned, we finally have been able to get some access through the Department of Health to rapid test. We're getting very few supplies in, so we don't have a lot, but we are having enough to be able to test in assisted living, which is the most congregate setting. And so we have been currently testing our staff and residents there twice a week. As soon as we start to see more time go without new cases, then we will modify who we test based on our short testing supply. We're fortunate to have some test kits in because I am hearing that many long-term care facilities are still without access to test kits. We keep biting our nails, hoping we get the next shipment in to be able to do next week's testing. So it's still a little precarious. We're not getting an abundance of test kits. I wish we had enough to make available for everyone, and unfortunately we don't as we continue with the short supply. So we will continue those efforts and hope for the best. What are you all hearing in terms of when the peak might be coming? George, Jeff, I'm hearing sometime in February. There's a lot of mixed literature. Have any of you received your home test kits from the government or the state? Okay, I see a few hands. I got 2. Yeah, again, it's the same everywhere, right? So hopefully for those of you who are able to get online and register for some free home test kits, I hope you start receiving them soon. All right, so that is all I have, and I am delighted to bring back up Erica, who's going to talk to you more about pandemic-related issues. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so I'm going to talk about 2 issues today. One is I'm going to start actually with a really wonderful project that we started a pilot project here at the beginning of January. And it was a hush-hush project, but now I'm ready to announce what the hush-hush secret was. So you can think about it and think how it can impact our community. We started a collaboration with Seattle University's MBA program and what's the name of the school? Middle College High School, which is a local launching high school. It's a school that does a LEAP program into colleges. And we're working on a dementia-friendly program building tool program. Hold on a second. Let's take a moment and work with a coping skill right now, shall we? Okay, I invite everybody to try this experiment with me. Bring your hands together. Hands together. Make your hands into an M. If you can, take that M and put it behind your neck. With your hands behind your neck, take a big, deep breath in. Hold it and let it out. Whew. Into that mask. That's good. One more time. Take a big, deep breath and let it out. Last time. Deep breath. Let it out. Bring your M to the front and relax. Whew, felt good, huh? Okay, except for the shoulder part. Except for the shoulder part. Know your shoulders. Okay, back to our pilot program. So we have an initiative here to build a dementia-friendly community. And to do that, we need some train the trainers to learn these skills so that everybody in our community knows these skill sets. It's not fair to have these particular people who know these when everybody should be knowing these things. Everybody should know how to play. Everybody should know how to be good community partners. Everybody should know how to care for their neighbors if they want to. So we started a project where we invited people, residents, independent residents who wanted to be allies to learn these skills of what being a dementia-friendly community was all about. So we started a practice time Wednesday afternoons where a small group of residents will be partnering with high school students starting as soon as we're allowed to let them into the building. We're going to be practicing dementia-friendly interventions, and then we're going to be learning that, teaching that and then implementing it with people with memory loss. Then that whole group, the allies and the students, will come back together and discuss how that went. We're going to debrief that so that the two groups can be more comfortable with this idea. This is going to be an ongoing class group that meets on a weekly basis for the rest of the school year. And so it's a 2-hour group that meets on Wednesdays. And if you are interested, I would highly recommend you contact me so I can give you some more personal information. But this is all in the benefit of our initiative to build a dementia-friendly community so that everybody has the tools and the skill set to be comfortable with people with memory loss. And as our memories decline, we still have the support around us. All right? So with that, we'll turn to our second issue, which is coping skills. And I want to tell you about what we have today because the future is looking very bright. I know that we're in a pandemic and everybody has a mask on, but we have so many resources at our fingertips. And so I want to really hit home the 3 buckets of resources that you should all be thinking about that are available to us in the building right now. One of them is just where do you find support? Support is available through the support groups that we have, all of the ones that Linda offers, whether it's caregiver support or the transitions group, the book reading groups, the support groups that the residents come up with. We all have groups together that bind us and bring support. We also have many, many educational opportunities, whether it's bringing in subject matter experts for learning opportunities, whether it's classrooms, OSHER classes, ongoing lecture series, things like that. We have a lot of access. We also have ways to connect with outside resources, education, and opportunities. And then, of course, there's wellness, which is a third pillar of taking care of yourself and coping, is taking care of yourself first, which is getting to the gym, taking advantage of all of the classes that they have to offer that are of interest to you, laughing every day, finding something to laugh about, okay? And laugh with, find people to laugh with, right? Find things of interest to learn about, volunteer, get into the groups, read the daily alert, the weekly alert, get involved in the community, okay? So we have a lot of things to do for coping. Just take advantage of what is going on and be present in the community.
Right.
All right? Does anybody have any questions? Excellent. And I will pass this on to Jeff. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Good. Well, just here to talk a little bit about food services pretty quick today. Like I always like to show off some of our past events that we had and didn't get to meet at the end of December, so I wanted to show some pictures from Christmas. We had a real nice Christmas brunch this year. Had some eggs Benedict you can see in the picture. Tables were set up really nicely. Thank you, Oliver, as always. And the brunch is just really nice. And we also had New Year's Eve, which is the next one. And obviously things were a little challenging for New Year's Eve. The day before we had a couple curveballs thrown our way and had to really alter kind of the whole production that night. But things still really went off very well. You can see the decorations were lovely. Thank you, Linda Merritt and her committee for helping out with all the decorations for New Year's Eve. We didn't get to do all the food that we wanted to, but the food that we did put out I thought was fantastic, and the decor was great. The tables just looked amazing. So as challenging as those couple days were leading up to it, that night went very well, and I was really happy to see that. The one thing we didn't get to do that night was we were going to have a really nice ice sculpture display with seafood and everything. We just didn't have the means to accomplish it that evening, but that's still in the works. So we have the ice sculpture. We're thinking Valentine's Day night is going to be kind of a big event for that. So look for that coming, probably next week's menu, some more information about that. And then speaking of menus, wanted to kind of share, we're looking at a new look menu coming out in the next few weeks. We've been working with the marketing team and their company that they're working with, and they've put together some really nice designs that we've had to work with. And we've worked with the food committee on this as well, getting their input. And so we have a new menu design rolling out in the next few weeks. Kind of the biggest change, obviously the color scheme and just the look of it is a lot different, but opposed from how the menu's been, where one page has all the dinner meals and one page has all the bistro specials and one page has breakfast. It's going to be laid out more day by day. So you'll see, Monday says what the breakfast special is, what the lunch special is, what the soup is, the dinner, and then you have your bistro specials under that. So we're hoping that layout's going to be, a little bit better for everybody. And I think the look is really nice. So look for that in the next few weeks. And that's about all I have. So thanks for all your patience and, everything with you guys. You've been really gracious with us through all this. Unfortunately, I don't have anything new to report in terms of getting more staff and whatnot. We're just still not getting a lot of hits on our requisitions. And it was nice over the holidays. We had Ollie back from college, and that helped out for a couple weeks, but he's back to college now. And so we're kind of back in that boat, but we're still working hard. We're starting to maybe think outside the box on some ways to help things out in the dining room. So maybe look for some new innovative things coming in the next few months as well. So we'll see. But that's all I got. And I think next is going to be Charlene and Ruth Ann. So have a nice day.
Good morning. I'm Charlene Hutchinson, and I work in the philanthropy department with Ruth Ann Ford. And I want to do a quick update on how we did on our Partners in Caring campaign for 2021. Let's see. We raised $371,000, just short of our $375 goal. We had an 85% participation from residents, and just shy of 86 was our goal for that, but almost there. My next slide, for the endowment campaign, we raised $163,000 with 18 donors, and that's actually double what our goal was. Our goal was 80,000 for the endowment for cash gifts, and we doubled that. So kind of makes up for how we did with the annual campaign. Bequests, we received $435,000 in bequests money, and that's the fulfilled gifts when someone chooses to leave Horizon House in their will. We received that with 2 donors, so pretty good. Letters of intent, we received 7 letters of intent, and that means that residents have let us know if they listed Horizon House as a beneficiary in their will or on a retirement account. So we are always trying to look those up. And finally, endowment balance was at $28.4 million at the end of the year. So we're looking pretty good. And with that, I'm going to have Ruth Ann talk to you a little bit about estate planning.
Thanks, Charlene. Good morning, everybody. So the month of February, we will be focusing a little bit on estate planning in a program that we call Give Beyond Your Horizons. Estate gifts are the primary focus of funding for our endowment. And we like to think of the endowment as a flowing fountain because only the earnings are spent and it continues to provide for years to come. Residents' assistance is supported by the endowment earnings, which is really, really wonderful. 8 residents received support last year, and no one has ever been asked to leave Horizon House for inability to pay. We'll go to the next slide. So the Heritage Society is a special group of people that have included Horizon House in their estate plans. Or at any level, you can include Horizon House in your estate plans, or made a cash gift of $10,000 to our endowment. And annually, we host a little party for our Heritage Society members. And currently we have 100 Heritage Society members, which is so wonderful. We really appreciate their generosity. Okay, the next slide. So luckily, we were able to have an in-person party in November. And here's some pictures. We had Mike Stevens from the Nature Conservancy speak, and a harpist, and we had it right here in Anderson Hall. It was really special. Let's see, and we will be having some estate planning sessions, which will be shown on HHTV in February. These will be presented by a member of our philanthropy committee, Dave Greenberg, who was hosted here before, and he's wonderful. So just take a look on your alert for the listings, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate all this transparency that we're getting from our administration, especially about the West Wing project and the pandemic. Really appreciate that. The resident council began in 2022 at its January meeting with introductions of the council leaders who will be coordinating the 65 various programs and committees and activities which the council promotes for the benefit of the residents here at Horizon House. And these resident-led events are sometimes called the secret sauce of this community. And I want to express gratitude to all of the resident volunteers who conduct these activities of the resident council and the administrative staff which support our efforts. May Gerstle, our new Vice President for Programs, will provide in your cubbies as soon as February 15 sign-up sheets along with descriptive program booklets. And if you're currently participating in a committee or activity, you'll be asked to sign up again for the new fiscal year, which begins April 1st. At our next council meeting, also on February 15, we will spotlight our committees on event support and environment. The environment spotlight will be focusing on current Washington state legislative issues. Our January program spotlighted the Board of Trustees Committee on Community Relations and Diversity, introduced by Jim Yearby, chair of that committee, and our spotlight addressed their mission to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by the way, that particular trustees committee includes 8 resident volunteers. We invite you to attend our next meeting and learn about the ways that the council provides education, stimulation, and even joy to our Horizon House community. Thank you. Now Valerie is going to introduce our new residents.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce some of our new residents. The marketing team was attending a conference last month and we missed the Fireside Chat. So if you're a new resident, or you referred a new resident, or you have a neighbor who's a new resident who's not being introduced today, rest assured we have not missed them. But in the interest of time, we divided it a little bit. I do not believe Nancy was able to join us this morning, but it is our pleasure to introduce Nancy Miller to Horizon House. Nancy was born in Seattle and attended Washington State University. Her interests include music, history, knitting, and cats. Nancy is also a longtime boater and Euro traveler. Hopefully you're watching. Welcome to Horizon House, Nancy. Thea with us today. If you don't mind just waving, Thea. Oh, I'm sorry. You got away from me. Sorry. Hi, friend. Thea was born in Malden, Massachusetts. She majored in mathematics at Boston University and attended the University of Washington for her postgraduate studies. Her interests include reading, walking, eating, and music. Welcome to Horizon House, Thea. Mary Ann Legion House is here. Good morning. Mary Ann was born in Munich, Germany. She worked as a healthcare manager and enjoys gardening, keeping up with friends, jigsaw puzzles, baking, which I can attest to, theater, dance, and healthcare. Welcome to Horizon House, Mary Ann. And Roger and Jean Lead were not able to join us today. Oh, you made it. I'm sorry. Good morning. Jean was born and raised in Ohio and attended Ratcliffe College. Roger was born in Wisconsin and lived in a number of different places before landing in Seattle back in 1949. He graduated from Harvard and attended law school at the University of Michigan. Roger and Jean enjoy books, music, the theater, and casual bridge. Welcome to Horizon House. And Marci Hobbs. Hi, Marci. Marci was born in Seattle and attended Roosevelt High School and the University of Washington. She worked as a teacher and a publication manager for Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Marci loves walking and enjoys reading as well. Welcome to Horizon House, Marci. And I want to thank Fiona for all the wonderful photos of our new residents. And I don't think she's here, but Linda Meebank for the suggestion that we do the side-by-sides. We very optimistically were only showing photos of our new residents without their masks. Linda has a great suggestion, so thank her for that. I'll turn it back to Mike.
Great, thank you, Valerie. And I listened very carefully to what Lori said, and I'm now wearing my official mask. So if I'm gonna do it, then you guys all gotta do it too. So I need to behave myself. I want to do an extra shout out for philanthropy because of the great work that they do. You know, when I got here 9 years ago, the endowment was $7 million. And through the incredible generosity of our residents, coupled with earnings, we have quadrupled that endowment from the $7 million to the 28 million we have now. That's really impressive. And what this does, is it allows us to maintain our broad socioeconomic mix of folks that we value so much here. All communities that are nonprofits have a responsibility to provide funds for residents who run out of money during their life stay at the community. But if you underwrite your residents to all be billionaires, how much do you think you need to rely on an endowment to cover somebody who runs out of money? Never. We really do. We are doing this proactively to say we want the mix of residents here that adds to the culture of our community, and we can take a different level of risk in order to maintain that because of that endowment. And that endowment is going to serve other purposes in the future, and this is the mark of a really healthy community. So thank you all for doing that. You know, as they say, you know, give often and give a lot. So thanks for that. Okay, small group sessions will kick off next week on Tuesday, February 1, 10:30 to 2, Wednesday, Feb 2nd, 10 a.m. to 2. We'll do a little hybrid in person and also do Zoom. So we have some limited capacity there, so be sure you touch base with Beth. These are important places in which we have a little bit more dialogue in a smaller setting to keep our communication flowing. And we'll have a couple of agenda items, but we really do want that it be a chance for people to chime in about whatever the issues are. And that way you hear what your peers say, you hear what we say, and you walk out of that room with a little more comfort and confidence in what you know about Horizon House, and that goes a long way. So encourage people to participate in those meetings. We also have on the 8th of February, our annual board meeting with residents. This is where the Board of Trustees holds its regular meeting and has a segment of that meeting that is also reserved for residents. And the opportunity here is to, to get to meet and greet some of our Board of Trustee members, to ask questions. They don't know the intimate operations of, of Horizon House. So, you can't ask them a question like, why does the elevator work? They're not going to know the answer to that. I'm the one who has to answer that question, or Sean or Brian Holtz. But they do take that strategic view of Horizon House. They are the ones who are ultimately responsible for charting a course of the future that ensures our success. They were instrumental in the evolution of our strategic plan that has led to the decision of a West Tower. So these folks are very important to our future, and it's important you know them and kind of get a feel for them. Because there will be new people over time, and they want to know you and understand your perspective, and likewise, you should know and understand their perspective. So let's see. We also have a couple of bright spots with respect to dining services. Of course, the stuff that they do, there are limitations and restrictions, right? And we're operating within that confine. But they do such an awesome job of trying to make it so it works. Whether it's Oliver and the decorations and the planning that they do and the quality of the food, it has its ups and downs, I'm sure, just like anywhere else. But the effort being made is really, I think, top notch. So, acknowledge it when it deserves to be acknowledged, and when things aren't quite right, it's okay to talk about that. But do acknowledge it when it's working right. And let's see, if you have questions that you want addressed at these meetings, chime into Beth or to Laura at marketing. We'll make sure that they find their way onto the agenda. And I think the last item, if I have my stuff right, is that we've got another Fireside Chat coming up in February on the 25th. I can't believe how fast time is flying. This is crazy. But we can't stop time, so we just better be prepared for it. Thank you. I think we're wrapping it up for now, unless there's any questions that people have that you want to throw out. Olga, I knew I could count on you.
Is it possible, like at a future meeting, to show photographs of our Board of Trustees and to give us something about their background?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and we have that information. Let's make sure that that is available at that meeting, and also we'll do our best to get on HH Connect, because it is good. You want to read this stuff and get an idea of the backgrounds. So yes, we will definitely do that, and good suggestion. Anyone else? Yes, question over here. Microphone's coming right to you, Barbara.
Not a question, but an observation. With deep respect for the philanthropy department and the work that they do, I would like to share a different perspective. I think it's more important that we have units that individuals can afford than it is to bail out those who have run out of funds.
Sure. Okay. Understood. I think that
No rebuttal.
yeah, sure. Okay. Good point. Any other comments or thoughts? Well, thank you for attending, and I hope to see you again next week after next for our board meeting, and then again on the end of February for another Fireside Chat. Thanks so much.